back for another 5-minute book review. I'm your host, John Hartness. I am a professional science fiction and fantasy author, publisher, editor, podcaster, YouTube opinionated book nerd, and reader. And these 5-minute book reviews are my effort to keep myself accountable for my goal to read 52 books in 52 weeks. So this week, this is a hell of a week. It is currently March 19th when I'm taping this. It'll go live on the 20th. And this is the week that the United States started taking the coronavirus very seriously. And lots of things, shit started getting real this week, y'all. So for me, reading for escape is more important than ever, especially in times where I am not being terribly creative writing-wise, when my head is all scattered because the news is terrible and we don't know what's going to happen in the real world. So I really like to find books that let me get out of the world. And this week, that book is Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. And this is the first in her Crown of Shards trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. I haven't finished the series to know if it ends with 3 books. But there are currently 3. There's Kill the Queen, Protect the Prince, and I think Crush the King. Yeah, Crush the King is the new one. And I first heard about this series by following her on Twitter, and she was talking about the release of Crush the King, which came out this Tuesday, which was St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. So you should go buy that. But first, you should probably buy the first one, Kill the Queen. Now, Jennifer Estep is best known for her Elemental Assassins novels, which are an urban fantasy series. Spider's Bite, I think, is the first one. And it's about an, hey, shocker, assassin with elemental powers. Hey! Called Spider. That's all I really remember. I read the first one a long time ago. She's also done some YA books. That series is called Mythos Academy, and they're also very popular. But this is her first foray into high fantasy with this series. I wouldn't call it epic fantasy, because while it has nation building and nation saving scope, it doesn't have the multiple points of view and the epic sweeping stories like Wheel of Time, like Game of Thrones. There's not a cast of 1,000 characters. There's not 27 different points of view. It's not a big doorstopper book. It is high fantasy written with urban fantasy pacing. So it's more like Tad Williams' Memory, Sorrow, and Bone series, or Brent Weeks' Night Angel trilogy, or Ray Feist's First Magician series. So it falls more along those lines than your grand, big, sweeping, massive stories. These books are focused on one character, Everleigh, Evie, who is a minor. There are going to be some minor spoilers because I can't talk about the plot of the book without there being some spoilers. She's a minor member of the royal family, a minor noble, and she's kind of the Cinderella type. She's low on the totem pole. Everybody shits on her. Her magic isn't... Everybody in this world seems to have some flavor of magic. Hers is not powerful at all. She basically has super smell. And the magic systems seem to be pretty well developed. some people have physical enhancements, enhanced sense of smell, enhanced speed, enhanced strength. Some people have elemental control, fire, water, lightning is a popular one. Lots of people throwing lightning bolts. And then there's some other people who can control plants, control thread. There's someone who's a thread master. She can make anything. She can make clothes with magic. So Evie's magic is really weak, except of course we find out later on that it's really not. Because all she can do is she has a super sniffer. And everybody looks down on her, everybody craps on her, and then stuff goes sideways at the castle, and she has to leave the castle, and she joins a gladiator troupe and has to learn to fight, and she reinvents herself. There's a big coming of age element. In the first book, there's a light thread of romance. It gets heavier in the second book. There's a heavier sense of romance in the second book. I've just started the third today, so obviously I like the books. I mean, I'm talking about it on these videos, so you know I liked it. But I devoured this book in like 2 days. I enjoyed it a lot. It checks a lot of boxes for me. It's really quick. There's a lot of things that are very, very visual, very, very detailed descriptions. You can see it. The pacing is really tight. The characters are well developed. The character of Evie, this reminds me a lot of some of Mercedes Lackey's Valdemar novels. You know, a lot of those books are all about the underdog making good, and that's the story we've got here. It's not a traditional hero's journey in the sense that there's a big quest. It's not like Shannara or Tolkien or Star Wars, but it is that underdog learning about themselves, becoming more self-aware, and then finding their inner strength and finding their self-worth. So I really liked it. So far there are 3 books, and you need to read them in order. It's a short enough series, and it's not going to kill you. Like I said, there's only 3 out. It's not like the frickin' Wheel of Time or something where you got to go back 13 books to catch up, which is why I'll never finish that series. I think I stopped after 9, and there's 0 chance that I'm going back to reread, God, what must be 1.5 million words over 9 books to then read another 1 million words over 5 more books. That ain't happening. These books are quick. They're maybe 100,000 words, 110,000, so they're quick reads. They're not very long. And I think you'll really enjoy them if you like any of that high fantasy adventure stuff. Like I said, I don't call this epic fantasy because the scope is tighter than epic fantasy tends to be. But it's definitely high fantasy. It's not an urban contemporary setting. It's a magical world, kind of your standard European medieval-ish style world. Although there are trains, so there's that. Okay, there are trains. Don't know how that works, but I also don't care. They just needed to get from one place to the other, so fine, there's a train. That's the thing, is I'm not going to get thrown out of a story if there's some piece of tech that is incidental to the progress of the story that is a little jarring. When I saw train, I was like, huh, there are trains. Okay, there are trains. Probably because horses are slow and you need to move people from one country to another country. you need to get them there faster. So you can either make magical portals or you can have trains. So that works. So yeah, Kill the Queen by Jennifer Estep. It's available now, ebook, audiobook, print book. I read the ebook. It was, I think it was $10. So it's at the upper end of what I like to spend for an ebook. The second book was more, and I think the third book was even more. So I whined a little, but I bought it because I really enjoyed the books. So there you go. It must not have been too big a deterrent. And for the spotlight, here's something that's coming soon. This book isn't out yet, but you can pre-order it. This is an anthology that I have a story in that debuts on April 7th. It is called Fantastic Hope. It's edited by Laurel K. Hamilton, who created the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series, and William McCaskey, whose debut novel is with Falstaff Books. And I have a brand new, exclusive to this book, Quincy Harker Demon Hunter short story in here. And if you, I don't know how big your screen is, but there's a lot of big names in here. Laurel has an Anita Blake story in here. Jonathan Mayberry has a story in here. Kevin J. Anderson, Larry Correa, Patty Briggs. So I'm in this anthology with a lot of great people. I'm pretty excited about it because this is published by Penguin Random House and marks my first New York published credit. So, hey, 10 years in, I finally got a short story in a New York book. I know I haven't chased it all that hard, but it's really nice, and the check cleared. So I've got my contributors' copies, and I also have an ARC here, and I'll probably do some kind of charity thing with this once the book releases. I'll probably do some kind of auction that off for charity or something. So get out there and pick up Kill the Queen, and then pre-order Fantastic Hope, and head over to falstaffbooks.com because for the foreseeable future, we're having a quarantine sale where all of our first books in series are on sale for just 99 cents for the ebooks. So you can get the first Quincy Harker book, the first Bubba the Monster Hunter book, the first in the Fugue and Fable series, the first menopausal superhero book. All these great first in series titles are yours in ebook for only $1 as long as we're stuck indoors. So stay at home, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll be back next week with more books. Bye.